Hi. Thanks for reaching out to me regarding, my feedback regarding the plugin. Sounds like you guys are really trying to make this happen quickly, and I'm happy to hear that because I'm really ready to buy once this is resolved. So, here's what I want to kind of explain to me. You want to know more about, the category and how to set long. You'd like to set how long the posts are, which contain the category published in the rhythm. Would you be so kind to explain this in more detail? Um, Okay, so again, the whole concept is you get to pick the category, right? Once you pick the category, the next option is obviously picking which social networks you want it on and the area that you want to kind of improve based on the fact that you selected the category is here, schedule posts recurrently. And just think of it this way. If I have evergreen posts that I just want to continue to share over and over again, there's not really a need for or duration per se. This should probably be optional. So for some people, yeah, maybe they only want to post their categories, during a certain amount of time. I'm assuming that your duration means that this particular post will be shared on these days for at least a week. After that week is done, it won't share anymore. So that's what I'm assuming what duration means in this setting here. What I'm saying is we may want to be setting we may want to be sharing our categories, obviously not just one post, but our categories for indefinite amount of time or for longer than what you have here. So the way Hyper Pro Social has it set up here is, you know, their scheduling is very simple. It's just, pick the minimum age of the post, the maximum age of the post, and just hit update, and it's going to continue to keep posting this for as long as possible. There's not even a time frame set. It's because they understand that if you're doing this, then obviously you want your post to keep going on and on and on until you decide to pause this, which you can do here and there. I like the way you guys handle it better by giving us a time frame here and being actually be able to pick the dates and times that our categories will be posting. So that's actually pretty cool. What I'm saying is for your duration, if I understand what duration is, I want something that either gives me an indefinite amount of time where it's, something that's like indefinite or 365 days a year, or give me the custom option of putting how many days I want this category to be posted on Twitter, for the duration. So, for instance, let's say I want this particular category to keep posting for at least 365 days a year. I could select 365 days, or I can enter 365 days. I want that category to randomly select posts, because that's the whole point of the category, is that it will randomly select posts, okay, and post it at 8:30 a.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursday, okay? That's the way the functionality should work. Okay, duration. This is basically saying how long do you want us to keep posting this particular category on Twitter. Obviously, the same thing would be for any network. But how long do you want us to keep post or selecting from your category and posting on Twitter? So I'd like this particular category that I've picked to post recurrently for 365 days, or how many, whatever time I put here. I want you to post around 8:30 a.m. and I want you to post on the days I've selected here. And again, you might want to have an option that says, select categories, or select posts from categories randomly, or select by date. So that might be an option. But even if you just, by default, it selects randomly. And you could even have an option that says don't repeat within you don't repeat within that time frame. What that will do is it will tell the system, like, once you've gone through all the posts in that category, don't repeat. So that's an option to have. But if you want to just keep it simple, duration, you should have a custom option that allows me to pick as long as I want. So I could put literally enter the dates like how I do here, where my intervals, I could put how many, how long I want this to go. So it'd be nice to be able to do that, or pick preset options. So you have a week here, 7 weeks. You could have, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 365 days. unlimited, that would be a great option. And then everything here just makes sense. It's just like, once you pick something from the category, this is the time I want you to post it. These are the days, and that's fine. Okay. But just remember, that's what the duration, that's what I'm viewing duration as. I don't know if that's the way you guys have set it up, but that's exactly what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about picking a category and how long I want you to keep pulling from this category. That's what duration means to me. And hopefully that's what it means with this. Otherwise, I've misunderstood that. And it's something that you should probably consider. But ultimately, the point of being able to select from a category is that I want to be able to run this as long as possible without having to keep coming back here and adjusting the duration. If I have an option that just says unlimited, then that's great. I'll just keep recycling through this and randomly picking posts to post on these days. Okay. Some other features I want to kind of just point out to you that Hypersocial has is it gives you the abilities to include categories, which we kind of discussed in my last video. You could pick those categories, but you could also exclude categories, and more importantly, exclude particular posts and page. So let's say I've picked this particular category, but there's certain posts and pages in that category that I want to show. So it gives you the option of clicking here, and then you could literally search for a post or add their ID here, check it off, and save it to exclude. So those posts or particular individual posts and pages won't show up. So that's a nice little feature that they have here that you may want to consider doing, especially when you're doing a category selection. That would be very important because sometimes not every single post or page in your category you want to show. So that's a cool little option to have there as well. They also have, I'll just show you here, a format and hashtag option here, which is pretty cool. It could be used in the category situation and even an individual situation like this, where for this particular situation, because you're doing it by category, they allow you to pick how you want the format to be. So there's little tags here that says, all right, I want to have the title first, then the excerpt, and then the URL. Or you could switch this around. I could say the URL first, title, excerpt. So it kind of gives you that kind of flexibility, which is cool. You can also add default hashtags to each post automatically. So again, because this really focuses on category, it just gives me an option to add a custom hashtag here, in addition to just getting a little excerpt and URL here. So that's something that's really important. I see it's kind of missing here. It would be nice to have the option of automatically pulling a small excerpt of the article. Because we're doing this on a category level, we can't sit there and individually pick each one because, you can have hundreds of posts. It would be nice just to have something that checks here that says excerpt, and you could give the amount characters of the excerpt where you enter, 150 characters, and it'll know that within that category, you want the excerpt to show, and you want it limited to 150 characters. And obviously this has changed depending on what profile you're using. So Twitter only allows a certain amount of characters. So you have to keep that in consideration when you're putting that option for Twitter versus Facebook, which might have a different characteristic. Either way, with the category too, it should automatically pull the featured image. So that should stay there too. But that's just another feature that you should probably consider doing, because that's how it's set up here, because they know that you want to have an excerpt. You don't want to just have the title and the URL. That actually helps as well, and it gives you that ability too. So you could see the maximum hashtag length, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just another feature to consider. Hopefully I've explained what I mean by duration, why it's important when you're using categories that are going to be posted recurrently. I give you some extra features that you might want to consider in terms of excluding particular posts from an included category. And I've also discussed adding an excerpt option where you can select the max character length, which really should be guided by whatever social network that you happen to be using. So if the person's picking Twitter to do the recurring posts for the category, then obviously the character length should reflect that in terms of when you select an excerpt option here, if that's what you want to add. But if you want to just keep it simple, then it's just really a matter of creating a duration that allows for different time frames, making sure that a post image would always be included, making sure that it picks from the category that you've selected randomly, and then it following the time, that you have here and the days that you have here as well. A random option for the times would be good too, or even the best time schedule would be good here as well if you could do that for the category option. But if not, just keeping it this simple initially would be fine. So hope this makes sense. Let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks.